If they give him show confidence early and he catches that momentum, or he catches it in some time in the season, watch out, because that's what a player. That's all they need, man. They need that momentum. They catch everything clicking, that confidence. That's a dangerous combination.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams, Coach Francis, and the OCP team of correspondents preview the NFC East in advance of the 2022-2023 football season. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, remotely from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And my partner is on assignment today. Again, literally on assignment, but on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, as we preview the NFC East, and it's the last preview we're doing before the season starts. We have just a cornucopia of football scholars, as I like to say. We have covering the Philadelphia Eagles for us today. Normal, regular correspondent Will Cotton. Cotton, man, how are you this morning, sir?
Good morning. How's everybody doing? What's going on?
And covering the Dallas Cowboys out of spite. I did this, fan, so you can blame me. It's Fowler and Campbell, and kind of glad Mike's not here because Fowler gets to say whatever he wants to about the Cowboys. I won't shack you today. Fowler, and how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I really wanted Mike here today, but I understand. So we'll get to it though.
Covering the Washington Commanders, and it's on my screen so I don't forget, is my close, long-time personal friend, Brian Beaubien, who is the one of the financial benefactors of the Odd Coaches Podcast. Inside joke. Brian, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. And hopefully with us, with no budget production, covering the New York Giants, and he wasn't at the pre-show meeting, so I get to make fun of him. Mike King. Mike, are you connected, and can you hear us, sir?
Like the Giants, I'm not working very well, but hopefully we're turning it around. So,
and we're in and we're good. Okay. So for fans who are new to our show, our Odd Coaches Podcast ratings are very simple. If you're a 1 point anything, we think you're a championship contender. If you're a 2 point anything, you're an average team. And if you're in the low twos, you're above average. And if you're in the high twos, you're below average. And if you have a 3 in front of your number, you stink. Okay. Let's just say you have major needs. So in segment 1, we're just going to tell you what our rankings are and see what our people say. So, Fowler, and we're going to start with you. We rated Dallas a 2.00 at the time we did our rankings. Is this the Cowboys' year finally after 20 some odd years of mediocrity? What do you think, sir?
I don't think this is the Cowboys' year. Only because of, Tyron Smith going down was big. And then, I'm just not confident in that receiving core that Dak has. Losing Amari was big, and now it's like you give the helm to CeeDee Lamb. Is he ready? You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about him wearing that number 88, you know what I mean, in a Cowboys jersey, but I just don't know if he's ready, to be the main guy. And then we go down to Zeke. You know what I mean? They say Zeke is healthy. I get it. But is he the number one back? You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of questions going on over there. And I'm looking at the schedule. I feel like, they're starting off with a loss to Tampa Bay, another loss to Cincinnati. And then, okay, they got the Giants. Washington can go either way, depending on Wentz. I just don't see them as a Super Bowl contending team. Obviously, that division is a little shaky in itself, but it's between Philly and Dallas, and I think Philly gets the edge. That's just my opinion.
All right. And although you weren't in the preseason pre-show note taking, we're going to transition. That is a good segue. Philadelphia. So, Will, I've got Philly at a 2.11. That's what I had them rate. And my driving question is, can Jalen Hurts raise his level of play? Because they got weapons for him. It's kind of like the Tua situation. What do you think, Cotton Man?
I'll say from the longest time, I was always a Jalen Hurts hater ever since like Alabama. I really didn't believe him. I was like, yo, he's like this kid plays at Alabama. So I guess he kind of grew into Oklahoma, and then now he's playing for the Eagles. He brings in the dynamic ability where he can like run and pass the ball pretty well. The great thing that the Eagles did was they definitely put some receivers around him. It kind of I think they should have kept Ertz. I think that helps him a lot more than AJ Brown. One thing they haven't really helped out is they really haven't got him like a solid running back. They really like that's how you're going to exceed and go past it. I don't really think it's Jalen Hurts that everyone should be looking at. I think it's the backs, even the quarterback and the running back. I don't really know what's going on there, but I think if everything clicks, if everything goes, and if everything can move forward, and they don't have any injuries, any big ones that notably I think reading about, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. So I think they're the favorite to come out the NFC East, and if you catch hot, man, watch out.
Hey, hold on. I'm sorry. So Will, you don't like Miles?
Oh, like who?
Miles Sanders.
I don't like. We're going to the third year, and I'm still, again, maybe I'm jaded because he was on my fantasy team, and he's just not that good for me.
There you go.
But you have to be the guy to move the chains, and I just don't see him moving the chains. You can't depend on big plays. You can't depend on like I forgot what Devontae Smith, or AJ Brown. You can't depend on them. You have to be like, hey, it's raining outside, or it's cold as heck. Minus 3 degrees. You're not going to be launching that ball. That don't go die. So you have to be able to run the ball. And in playoff time, that's the most time. Coldest, rainiest, snowest, especially in Philly. So if they if they win our division winner, they may be hosting a game. And that's still inside. And if you can't run the ball in playoffs, then you're not going to win. So they have a chance, but he's going to have to really step it up, in my opinion.
I just felt, hold on, Coach. I just felt that Philly last year, they put everything on Hurts, and it was the offensive coordinator. They didn't run. It was times where they didn't run the ball a lot, and I do feel like Miles Sanders can be a good back. I'm not saying a featured back, but he can be a good back. And I think if they try to balance their offense, which Dallas, remember when Dak had his deal, and they weren't really balanced. So they put the ball in Dak's hand, and they was throwing the ball when they had Zeke. I thought Philly did the same thing with Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? They put it in his hands. They want him to run. They want him to pass it. They didn't balance it. They didn't balance their offense well. And I feel like if they can do that this year, it'd be a big difference.
Well, I'll say this, you're a pro athlete, man. It's all about the confidence of the coach, man. If the coach believes in you, you're gonna get the pill. You're gonna get the rock all day. I don't think the coaching staff of last year didn't have the. They were like, we don't really. I'll give the ball to Jalen. He's a better runner. If he has to throw it, he has to. He's faster. He can get on the edge and hit the. If he has to get the first down, I think hopefully this new coaching staff likes him and they give him the confidence and they say, okay, well you're gonna, hey, the 3rd and 1, you getting the ball. Don't run no little bootleg, don't no shotgun, like four wide.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to show me, and that could work for him if they give him show confidence early and he catches that momentum, or he catches it in sometime in the season. Watch out, because that's what a player. That's all they need, man. They need that momentum. They kept everything clicking, that confidence. That's a dangerous combination for the NFC East if that happens for them.
All right. Speaking of dangerous, fans, you do know that Pollard and Will are high school teammates. So that's me in the locker room doing the same things. So as we transition to Washington and dangerous, I have the Washington Commanders. Again, it's on the screen at a 2.44. And maybe I was a little too harsh on them. Brian Bobian and I go back a lot of years, and we've been talking about the Washington Commanders for probably about 20 years, man. So you're going to get some great insight. So Brian, what do you think about the Commanders this season?
Yeah, I had to go back and look at your rating scale because I wanted to make sure that I was reading it right and that they 2 meant average and not really bad, because I mean 31 years of being really bad until they show that they're not really bad again. Like they're going to be really bad. It's they brought in Wentz because nobody else wanted to come here. They needed a quarterback, and they could only make the move that they could make, and he was the only one who couldn't say no. So that's why they ended up with him. It looks like the guy who they've held up as their starting running back is not going to be that guy anymore. And now it's going to be Robinson, who ran like a man from what I've seen. So I'm excited about that. And maybe they can use Gibson in a slot. I know he played receiver a lot in college, and so hopefully that is more in his wheelhouse. But I'm concerned about the defense. I know it's preseason, but they couldn't get off the field on third down again. And if they can't do that, they're going to be gassed all year, and they don't have the horses to deal with that. So I'm cautiously pessimistic as a fan, because I've been burned too long. I can't be optimistic anymore. But there are things to like, and there are things that are concerning.
All right,
Brian, quick question. Hey, Brian, quick question. Do you think they should just let's sit Chase for the year? What do you think? I mean, I think they should. I mean, I don't think they're playing for a Super Bowl. I think they're just trying to figure themselves out. Even though we're in with the third year of Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
Do you think that we should just let Chase Young just sit him for the year and then get ready to go for next year?
From a football perspective, probably. From a marketing perspective, I don't think they can do it. I think that they've held him up as the savior of the defense. And to say, no, we're just going to go for pretty much 2 years without him on the field I don't know that they can do it with their brand. But is that the best for him as a player? Is that best for the team as a team? I don't know. But I don't think they can, as many missteps as they've made on the business side of things, that would be another one.
Yeah. But RG3, so it's
absolutely
same shading kind of thing where it's like but it's we'll see what happens. I will say I'm pleased with the fact that they put him on the PUP and they got him out for 4 weeks. It wasn't like they weren't with the full scale, whatever that was with RG3 back by opening day, and then you could see he wasn't right. That's good. And maybe they'll extend it if he's still not good. Maybe they'll keep him out. I don't know.
All right. Speaking of I don't know, the New York Giants. I don't know if I was too harsh. I had the Giants ranked at a 2.77, but our correspondent for the Giants is just as following as a San Francisco 49ers fan, Mike King, John F. Kennedy's long lost nephew, is a Giants fan. And am I undervaluing the Giants, Mike? Tell me what you think about the Giants this year.
So the Giants are, for me, I'm more optimistic, I think, than most Giants fans, because most Giants fans have had those years of Gettleman, so they just have given up. But for me, I see a new regime, and I'm like, well, it can't be any worse. I wanted either Evan Neal or Thibodeau. We got them both. Are we going to be good this year? Probably not. But do I see a GM that has more of a clue? Do I see a coach who has a scheme that kind of fits with, the 2000s? We're going to throw the ball. We're going to get a lot of shifty receivers. Yeah. So 2-7, is that fair? Probably. But we're fixing mistakes. The Giants have the most expensive wide receiver room in the NFL, and it's terrible. And it's not because of the GM that we have right now. So, yeah, there's a lot of problems. We have no depth. But this GM, I think, did the most with what he could do because of how poorly the team was run for the last 3 years. So I'm pretty optimistic, knowing that I think the ship is going in a better direction. And if I'm looking at this division and I see that, again, not as a betting man, but the Giants are giving me pretty good odds, and I don't see anyone good, I'd scratch that lottery ticket. I think the Giants have as good a chance as any of these sorry teams.
All right, that is a good stopping point for segment 1. So we'll take a brief break, and in segment 2, we'll actually go through the schedules and see if Mike can convince me to put $10 down on the Giants making the playoffs on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. And in segment 2, we're going to have a structured debate. My partner would say, yeah, right. So let's go strength of schedule. We're going to ask you guys to have the team schedules in front of you. And Mike, we actually start off with you. The Giants have the 29th strongest schedule in the league. And they are projected by Caesars to win 7 games. So strictly for entertainment purposes only, will you take the over or under on 7?
I go over. Again, I'm optimistic until I see game 1. Then I tell you, why'd you take the over? What were you thinking? But for right now, I'd say the over. I think everyone's down on the quarterback, but he does things that most quarterbacks in the league can't do. He just also does a lot of things that they shouldn't do. But he does things that he can run better than 90% of the quarterbacks in the league. He's as accurate as he's just kind of stupid. So is this new system going to cut down on some of the stupid? And some things are beyond his control. We had, the worst offensive line in football for his entire time. He's had 3 different systems. So in the right system, is he a quarterback who's going to get you 8 wins or more? I think he could, but I think people look at him as this, terrible quarterback. So I think there's value. That's why I would go over. There's definitely value if the stars align with this, with the new coaching staff. And I like Wink Martindale for the defense. So I do think over.
Okay. Will, over under 7 on the Giants?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna say under. Now, I don't say it's not a lack of talent. I think they have a lot of talent. Obviously, when you're making that transition from the general manager, you're going to see some changes, and basically everyone's playing for their jobs. It's a tryout. It's good to see Saquon back healthy. Last year he kind of started he was still a little hurt, and then as he got better and better, he progressed. So that's always good. The thing about them, the Giants, is they're all injured. You know, they don't really get time to all be at the same time and sync and play and see what we can really get. Right now, they're getting pieces. You know, Tony's hurt. I think he just started running. You know, Sterling Shepard. Forgot about him, right? Who about that guy? You know, and then Kenny Golladay. I mean, that guy had the last 2 years have just been, you know, abysmal. I can't even, you know, talk about that. I can't even just put it all on the quarterback. Now, again, the quarterback's supposed to drive the ship. So, yeah, he doesn't know where he's driving. But, you know, but right now, I think the biggest thing for the Giants is finding out their identity. I don't think they're good enough to be just a ground and pound kind of team. So I guess we'll see if things click for them. You know, if Daniel Jones can hit it for that next year, because obviously the Giants have to make some decisions monetarily to figure out if they're going to, you know, extend him or even keep him if they want him much longer. So, I mean, I don't think they'll get the wins just because I don't think they're going to have the depth to get the 7.5 wins. I think they're going to just, you know, 5-4, if they can catch fire, maybe 6, but I don't know about 7-5. I think they don't have the depth to get 7.5.
Okay, Bobian, over under Giants, 7 wins, sir.
So to have the strength of schedule for this year look like it does, you have to have been really bad last year because you're playing the same places in your, the teams based on your finishing schedule. So all of the NFC East teams were awful, and so they all are playing awful schedules. So really, anything can happen, and an over/under at the beginning of the season is so meaningless because injuries are they're gonna change the perspective by week 2. That said, I think the Giants already have their mid-year injuries in place right now, and so I think 7. I think I would bang the under big time.
Okay, following over under 7 for the Giants.
Man, this team, man. Mike, I'm sorry, Mike, man, but this I honestly, it's not going over 7. It's not. I would push 6. Just looking at the schedule, maybe at Jacksonville, maybe Seattle. They can get Seattle. You know,
they can get Seattle.
Yeah, Houston.
I don't know, Geno Smith.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to give Mike some sort of, you know, direction and confidence, but I'm counting 4, maybe 5, but I just like with Daniel Jones at the quarterback. I don't know what type of mindset Saquon is in right now. I mean, what is it's contract year, Mike? Is it contract year, Mike?
I think they got to make that decision. Yeah, I think
they got to make
that same situation.
Him and Daniel, so he might be, you know, he's been coming off injury, so he might feel like, okay, look, let me get myself going, but it's no O-line. Like you got Neal, who's a great, I mean, he's a good rookie, but I mean, I really don't. Andrews, I think, is on the tackle, so I mean, you got it. I don't know, man. It's tough. Like it's a lot of questions behind this team. So I just don't see it. I mean, the division is bad, so that's a good thing, you know. But so I'm trying to look at the positives. But yeah, I don't see 7, maybe 6. I don't see 7. No.
Okay. So Will, we're going to the Eagles. The Eagles have the 30th strongest schedule according to the NFL, and Vegas says 9.5. So, are we over under 9.5 for the Philadelphia Eagles, sir?
I'm going to say, well, that'll be enough to win the division for them. I think they'll get 9 games, 10 games. I don't know about what. Oh no, they won't get 9.5. They won't get 10 games. I don't know. They do have some bums. They play the Steelers. They play the Colts. They play the Giants, obviously, twice. That helps. They play the Saints. We'll see about the Bears. Chicago fans are kind of back and forward about them, so we'll see about that. But again, it depends on Jalen Hurts. You know, Jalen Hurts can win some games and be the factor that wins those games. Great. You know, Miles Sanders. You know, if he can catch fire and get first downs and move the chains and punch it in on the goal line. That's something that you want to need. They're depending on offense, and whenever you depend on offense, you don't really hit your mark. You put all this on. You have to stop people too. You can't just score in the NFL, because now you can be down 14 in like 15 seconds. So I think there's a lot of things that I don't know if they got anything short up on the back end in the defense. But with this schedule and the offense, they could win about 9 games. But 10, I would really have to see that their defense is really turn up about it. But they're going to win the division, in my opinion. That's but it depends on how. Because remember, I think the like 2 years ago, the division was like everyone had 3 wins except for like the Eagles, who had like 8 wins or 9. So I think it's going to be the same kind of thing. I think the best of the worst, as they say.
Okay, Mike, Eagles over under 9.5. What say you?
I'm taking single digits, so I'm going under. I don't know if the NFC East has a double-digit team. I think they'll beat each other up and see the rest. I'm not sold on Hurts. The Giants were terrible last year. We were 1-1 against the Eagles. The one game we were healthy, Hurts had 0 touchdowns, 3 picks, and we weren't good. So, again, I'll believe when I say it. I'm going to go – I think the Eagles 8-9.
Okay. Bobian. Oh, I should say Brian. I'm sorry. Brian, over under 9.5 for the Eagles.
9.5 is a really good number here, because I think it's either 9 or 10. They're gonna have 4 or 5 wins in the East, and so that means that they need to have 5 out of conference or 5 out of division wins to make that 10 number. I mean, there's a reason Vegas sets the lines, right? So I would actually go over this. I would say 10.
Okay. All right. Following, what do you think, sir? Over under 9.5 for the Eagles.
I totally agree with Brian. That 9.5 is Vegas did a great job on that one. You can go either 9 or 10.
Stamp it.
Huh?
What you need like a big shoe and be like, I'm a shoe in that they're gonna hit.
No.
Yeah, but no, I like that 10. I do, just because I honestly do think they'll win that division. I thought it was between them and Dallas, and with Dallas losing a big part on their offensive line for the season, and I don't believe in their weapons, and I do think A.J. Brown is a big factor in that Philly team, that offense, and I do think they will feature Sanders some more. So you can't put. I feel like they just can't put everything on Hurts, and just take a little bit of pressure off them. And if they can do that, they can be a much better team. I'm looking like Detroit. They can get Detroit, Jacksonville, Arizona. I believe they'll beat Dallas at home. Pittsburgh. I think they'll get Pittsburgh. They got Houston.
I'm taking over. I'm taking over too. I'm taking over.
Yeah,
because there's not even a team that would win in the playoffs. There's not even a team I'm looking that would have a winning record. The Packers are going to be trash, I think. Jaguars are going to be trash. Vikings are going to be bad. I'm my bad. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm going to say the over. I'm changing. I'm sorry.
The confident everyone is, the better I feel about my picks. Vegas knows what they're doing. And Vegas wants you all to be like, oh, this is obviously over. So then they're going to take all your money.
All right. Washington, the Commanders. Ryan, Vegas says the Washington Commanders have the 31st strongest schedule out of 32 teams, and they say over under 7.5. Sir, what say you?
Yeah, I really want to say over, but I look at the schedule and I'm thinking 6. I don't. I think they'll if Daniel Jones didn't play like Josh Allen against nobody but the Commanders, it would be fine, and they would take 2 against New York. But every game that he plays against Washington, he does not look like Daniel Jones against any other team. And I think that goes the same for Jalen Hurts. Not that he's bad against everybody else, but he's gonna expose Washington's defense. So I think Fields in Chicago is going to do the same thing. So while Chicago is not a good team, the skill set that Hurts brings is just gonna gut Washington. I think 6. I'm gonna go with the under.
Wow. Mr. King, I had to get one in. Mike, what do you think? 7.5 over under?
I like the over. I think the NFC East is such a crapshoot, and the Giants and the Commanders are low for some reason. The Eagles and Cowboys are higher for some reason. I just think Washington's got a lot of pieces. Can they gel? But there's a lot of talent. There's a bunch of wide receivers, bunch of running backs that could do different things. There's a lot of good defenders. Even if Chase Young's hurt, you still got a bunch of other Alabama players, right? Washington, I think, is a team that can be scary. I'm not a huge Wentz guy, but he's still better than what they've had. I'm going over.
Okay. Will, over under 7.5 for the Commanders.
Man, it's funny because I have a water bet with a friend of mine who wants to actually. He took 10 games. He said they're gonna win 10 games. So we bet a little water bet on that. So I think I wouldn't. I say I'm pretty safe on that. Again, just like everyone else schedules, they're playing cupcakes. The worst part, at being a Commander fan, because I'm the guy who's like, oh yeah, we're playing the Jaguars. When not the case. We're playing the Browns. We're also bad like them. So I used to be jaded when I was younger. I'd be like, oh, here go the Lions. We're going to get a win. It's like, no, Will, you're just as bad as the Lions. So I think there's a lot of teams not you, Brian, but you're pretty, even keeled kind of person. But it seems like there are a lot of people who see like bad teams and like, oh yeah, we're going to walk over them, Unfortunately, that's the most amount of wins that Ron Rivera has won against Commanders. Kind of, that's kind of weird because he went to the playoffs anyway. And people kind of celebrated that. And I'm like, they didn't really, they're the worst of the best. The best of the worst. They didn't really do their thing. So I'm going to take under, man. I think under. I think they don't really have identity. I don't think they're very creative offensively. I think they're kind of putting all their coins in Robinson. We'll see what Curtis Samuel. We haven't really seen too much of him. I mean, he's had a couple good games. He had some good catches. It's good to see him on the field. I think that's probably the biggest part. Wentz, I've got nothing but like bad. He's not playing well. He's not making like easy throws. Like Brian said, there's only one person. There's a reason why he's here. It's not a reason to win. He's here because, hey, man, you'll sign my check, please? Yes? Okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think they have the pieces to win the games, and they definitely don't have the depth to kind of get though. But, so I think it's going to be the same that we have last year. I don't think they'll be abysmal, but they'll, 5-6 wins. But they'll win some exciting games. I mean, they'll fight. They have a pretty good defense. They just don't win. So they'll have you watching exciting. They'll lose by a field goal or lose by a touchdown or interception on a drive, and all of a sudden it was 7 winnable. Now it's 14 wins and 4 minutes left. So it's just they don't know how to win. They don't know how to win, and that's another thing. They've never been a good team, so they can't win. And honestly, I think there's a lot of dissension between Heineke and Wentz. I mean, I think I think there might some players who are like, yo, I'd rather have him. Like, silently, they're like, okay, I know you're the quarterback here. We'll give you a couple games, but I'd rather get my guy. And, I think, based on all that, and, wins can be win or loss. Games can be win or lost by like inches. I don't think they're going to have enough inches, man. So call me the under for the Commanders.
All right. And following over under 7.5 for the Washington Commanders.
All right. So I like I said, Vegas is doing a great job. This is why they do this. I mean, this is their job. 7.5, it's perfect. They won 7 games last year. I do believe Wentz has something. We say this every year. I know. When we went to the Colts, we had something to prove. I do believe he has the weapons. I mean, he just needs to get the job done. And I'm looking at the schedule. Sorry, Mike. He got Giants twice. He got Jacksonville. You know what I mean? We got Detroit. So that's 4 right there. I think they'll split with Dallas. That's 5. I'm looking at Houston and Atlanta. That's 6, 7. You know what I mean? And if they can, maybe that's Cleveland at the end. It's right there. You know what I mean? So it's right there. Maybe Green Bay, they can sneak Green Bay at home. It really all depends on Wentz. And I'm interested to see how week 1 goes. Because honestly, I do believe if Wentz doesn't start out well, they're gonna go to Sam.
So you just skipped Taylor.
I did.
I think they like Hal a lot.
I think they like him a lot. I do. Yeah. We got to go to the younger guy, in my opinion. But I get it.
Okay. Finally, Dallas has a tie with Washington for the 31st strongest schedule in the NFL. And Vegas, at the time of the taping, had Dallas at 10.5. Over under 10.5, Fowler.
I like the over. I like the over. Yeah, I like the over, man. I'm gonna go with if that. No, I'm going under. I'm sorry. Look, this division is so up in the air. It's really so confusing. But that loss to that O-line and just not having confidence in that in that receiving core. I don't believe in Dak. And I don't. I mean, I think he's gonna have a good year just because he's always, he's passing the ball. But it's gonna be hard with losing Tyron. So I'm gonna take the under on that one.
Okay, Mike King, over under 10.5 for the Cowboys.
Well, now I'm scared because again, I'm a big believer in when a bet sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And when you said 10.5 and you looked at everyone's eyes up there, everyone was like. So I was going to say way, way under, but now I'm thinking maybe Vegas knows something. But I don't see it. I just don't think they have the 11's a lot of wins. Even with the 17-game schedule, 11 is a lot of wins. They lost their left tackle, which is arguably the most important position on the field. So that's a big ask. And he's good. It's not like they lost like a guy. They lost like the guy. That's big.
Okay. Will, over under 10.5 for the Cowboys.
I'm gonna say call it a wash. I'm gonna say a push. I'm gonna say it's a push.
You can't push 10.5, man.
Oh yeah.
And let me. I'll just remind you. You have the Eagles winning the division with 9. So you got it.
I'm gonna take under. Yeah, I'm gonna take under. I'll say this. They've kind of regressed. I think they started maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. They had a really identity. They would round and pound. They would run the ball very well, make very small throws. I would say pick and roll, a play action. They run like a play action. And I think they kind of lost their way. And obviously, they're with a different coach, Mike McCarthy. So they're going to put up points. The thing is, Mike McCarthy is not a great coach, in my opinion. The guy had legendary Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, you should have won like 2 or 3 Super Bowls, and you won 1. And it's like, you may not be as great a coach as you are. Again, they lost Tyron already. So now they have to keep, But the thing about the best thing about the Cowboys is Dak was able to get better this offseason. He got hurt 2 years ago, so he spent the whole time getting better. So when he got into the season, you're seeing kind of maybe last year's Dak. So he played a full season. He was healthy. Then he was able to get better this offseason. I think if he doesn't get hurt again, he should take that next step. Kind of, But again, when you don't have the identity when you don't have the what are we going to be? And I think their DBs are overrated, super overrated. I think their DBs, like, I'm sorry, Tavon Diggs, like, bruh, like you're very good, like, man, you're very good at man coverage, but your team plays. They like. Let me slow down. I'm getting a little upset because now I'm really like, these guys are not doing it. I'm not even a Cowboys fan. I don't think their defense is good enough. I don't think their offense. I think their offense is very good. I think their wide receivers are questionable at best. I think CeeDee Lamb as their best, and you're still, like Valorant said, it's like, well, we'll see. Like, you're supposed to be the guy. You know, that you got rid of a really good wide receiver, and they're 29. I think that's like standard. Like when they really make the leap. So we'll see, man. I don't think they win. I don't think they're not good enough to win close games. And I think that's what's going to be the difference. And they're going to actually win possibly 8-7 wins because they lose focus and they don't win the little things that you have to do to win. So I'm going to take under 7, maybe 9 if you're bad. And maybe if it's like a really bad season and you got lucky, maybe 9, but I'm taking 8. Possibly 7. But yeah, either way, under.
Dallas brings out such passion in people. Brian, you have the last word. 10.5 over under, sir.
I don't know. Everybody seems to continue to love Dallas, and I don't understand it. I don't get, like, they're going to continue to hand the ball to Zeke Elliott, who is going to continue to run for 2.5 yards and not any further. Pollard was so much better last year, and they would not go to him. And when it's an owner situation, just like Washington's an owner situation, and
a money thing too. The dude that he's making, he gonna get the pill, you know?
Right? But that was direct. I mean, I can't imagine that they got their football people together before they handed Zeke Elliott that check and went, "No, does this make sense for a running back to pay him this much money, given what the league looks like right now?" And they all went, yes. It was a Jerry Jones thing. Jerry Jones loves him, and that's why he got the money he got. And it all stems from that. And until they make that move to Pollard, I think their running game is not going to be what it can be. And then putting that all on Dak and a bunch of guys and CeeDee Lamb is not going to get it done. I think and that was before. I have to believe this line was before the Tyron injury, wasn't it? I mean, I can't possibly have been after. So that injury, I mean, Dak's going to be running. I mean, he's going to have to, because he's going to be under pressure all the time. And they didn't just lose him; they lost. What was it, like 2? They lost 2 guys from their line last year, even before Smith went down. So it's not the same line, and I don't trust 10.5 at all.
All right, so fans, on the last segment of this, we will make predictions, again, strictly for entertainment purposes only. And I will say a lot of conversations about a 4th round draft pick quarterback. We'll be right back.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project's academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress, as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. Yes, Jeff, we make jokes during the segment, between segment. Segment 3 is strictly for entertainment purposes only. I have some questions here, and let's see what's going on. So, Mike, who's going to win the division, sir?
gonna go with Washington. Go with something different.
All right, Washington. Will, who's going to win the division?
Who's going to win the division?
Who's going to win the division, sir?
Eagles.
Eagles.
Eagles will win the
Okay.
division. Eagles will win the division. Yep. I don't think Dallas is going to win. Commanders are still trying to figure themselves out. And, the Giants are still trying to get some pieces together. I think the only team that's ready to take that next step from good regular season team to playoff team is the only one, in my opinion, is the Eagles. And I think they're going to make that step, adding what they had to. So give me the Eagles. And if it's a really bad, weird year, Dallas can somehow sneak in with the wild card.
All right, that would be the second question.
The division all the way. Give me the Eagles.
All right, Brian, who's going to win the division?
I mean, I want to say what Mike said, but I can't say what Mike said. So I think it's gonna be the Eagles.
Okay, and Fowler, who's winning the division?
I agree with losing your left tackle, Dallas. You losing your receiver, Gallup. I don't even know where Gallup is right now. If he'll be ready for season 1. It was between Dallas and Philly, but Philly gets the edge only because I really feel like they're just the best team in that division.
Okay, so now, fellas, as I get to you, will the NFC East have 2 playoff teams, which means there's going to be a wild card coming out of it? I'll circle back to you, Fowler. And will the NFC East get 2 playoff teams? And if so, who's the second team?
I guess I'll start it off. I don't believe they'll get 2 teams in.
All right, so nobody else.
Yeah. If I look at the NFC, we got Tampa, we got the Saints, we got San Fran, we got the Rams, Green Bay. It's just not enough space for that division.
Okay.
So they'll get 1, and I think the rest of the guys will be in Cancun or Maldives or somewhere.
All right. Will, he snuck in San Francisco. So does the NFC does the NFC East 2 playoff teams?
Just one.
Just one.
Just one. It'll be the Eagles. Just one.
All right. Brian, do we get 2 from the NFC East?
No, I agree with Fowler. There's just not enough.
There's not enough space.
Not enough space.
Mike King, do we get 2 teams? Giants, right?
No, I think this is one of those years where the difference between first place and last place in the NFC East is like 2 or 3 games because they all stink, and whoever wins the NFC East stole a playoff spot. So just that one team.
All right, we're going to stay with Mr. King. Which team in the NFC East, sir, will be your surprise team? They're going to shock people.
I'm going Giants just because they have the lowest expectations. I don't think any of the other teams could win that much more than just looking at your the projected wins. That would be that surprising if it's a game or 2 above. The Giants, I think, have that potential if they stay healthy to maybe get. I think 8 wins would surprise most people here. 8 and 9, so a losing record would be a big surprise. So I'm going to go Giants.
Okay, Will, who's going to be the surprise team of the NFC East?
Surprise team. It'll be the Commanders. They'll just, they're gonna play well. They're gonna not win. They're gonna play well. They won't embarrass themselves, and
not embarrass themselves. Is that the standard we're at right now? Okay, Brian, who's going to be the surprise team?
Is this a positive surprise?
Positive surprise, man. Positive surprise.
I think the Eagles are actually going to be even better than people are giving them credit for. I think that addition of AJ Brown is going to be something that they haven't had in a long time, and somebody that Hurts is going to be able to rely on. So I think that the Eagles are actually going to outperform.
Okay, and Fowler, who's going to be the surprise team?
Quick question to Brian. So if the Eagles is going to be a surprise, we already know they're going to make the playoffs. So now you're saying that they're going to make a push in the playoffs. Is that the surprise you're talking about?
I think they have a shot at winning a playoff game. And I think everybody has this division being so bad that that whoever comes out of it is not going to do anything any other time.
Mhm.
But I think the Eagles have improved. They saw what happened last year when they relied on Hurts to be the primary back, and they can't have him do that again. So hopefully they've reworked their offense a little bit to have Sanders more involved. I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance to make a push.
I agree with that. I agree with, like I said, if they can get Miles Sanders the ball, it'll make their offense totally different. But I'm sorry, Coach. I would say the Commanders would be the biggest surprise. Mike, that's funny that you say that. The Giants, because I mean, we go from 6 wins to 8 wins. I guess that was better than last year. So that's that. You're right. You're right, Mike. But it all depends on Wentz. I really believe that this Commanders team has all the tools to be a playoff team. They really do. But again, it comes down to from the top guy of the organization to the coach to Wentz. Those are the 3 guys. And it's like, if Wentz can come out here and perform well, that's a playoff team. That's a playoff team. But
Okay.
yeah.
I will say, perhaps I'm just a negative man when it comes to the Commanders. I do agree that they've got all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to put it together.
Yep.
All right. So disappointment. Will, we're going to knock you out first in case the internet crashes on you. Who's going to be the biggest disappointment, sir?
Like every year, it's going to be the Cowboys. Everyone says they're good. This is the year. Everyone says they were going to make the playoffs and all this stuff. But again, same old song. No playoff.
Okay.
And be like embarrassing. Yeah.
All right. Mike, who's going to be the biggest disappointment?
I'll go Dallas too, just because the expectations are so high that they won't be the worst team, but they'll be disappointing because their fans expect a lot more.
All right, Brian, who's going to be the biggest disappointment, sir?
Yeah, I agree. Cowboys fans coming off the bad seasons for both Duke basketball and the Lakers, they're going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time accounting for the Dallas Cowboys losses this year.
Following, who's going to be the biggest disappointment?
It's a unanimous, man. It's unanimous.
Mike, I'm sorry you're not here.
I was just about to say, I wish he was here so I could just, like, this unanimous decision is awesome. And yeah, I really feel like they'll be the biggest disappointment, just because the money that they put into that team, the guys that they have on that roster, they look good on paper. They always look good on paper, but they don't perform. They don't perform to the level of their abilities, and I mean, it shows in their record.
All right, final question, and I'll go to Cotton Man first, hopefully. Will we have a Super Bowl team come out of the NFC East? Will we have one? Yes or no, sir?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, we're going to say
I don't
no.
see it.
All right, Mike King, will we have a Super Bowl team come out of the NFC East?
You made this question in the 2020s. That might be an interesting question, but for this year, that's an easy no.
Easy no. Brian, Super Bowl team coming out of NFC East.
No.
And following, Super Bowl team coming out of NFC East.
We won't even have a team to win a playoff game, let alone make it to the Super Bowl. I don't think the NFC East, they'll have somebody obviously in the playoffs, but I think they'll be bumped out first round, regardless of who they play in the playoffs.
All right. So fans, I've got to say selfishly, this is one of my favorite shows because Brian, Mike and I used to work together, and the types of conversations. I mean, Mike and I were sitting next to each other during an earthquake. So, I mean, really, these guys mean a lot to me, and I hope we can have them on throughout. And fans know my love of my players, and I have my captain for life. And I'm just attached at the hip with this other one. This is just wonderful, man. So thank you guys for taking the time to tape with us. Coach Franchise, when he hears this, will text and call me and say, I can't believe he said that. So on behalf of my tag team partner who's on assignment, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.